Most people are terrified of their own company because they're running from a ghost. You've been told since you were a kid that being alone means you're a loser, a weirdo, or someone nobody wants. So you exhaust yourself trying to fit into rooms where nobody actually values you. You're chasing a vibe that doesn't exist. Machiavelli knew the truth. Men are so simple and so much inclined to obey immediate needs. Your immediate need is to feel included, to feel like you belong to the tribe. But in the modern world, that tribe is a trap. Think about your Friday nights. You're at a loud bar or a crowded party, nodding at jokes that aren't funny and laughing with people you don't even like. You're spending money you don't have to impress people who aren't even looking at you. You feel that hollow pit in your stomach, that realization that if you stopped talking, nobody would notice. That is the Mirage. It's a fake oasis. You think socializing is how you build a life, but for most, it's just how they hide from the fact that they have no life. The problem here is social hunger. It makes you weak. It makes you a beggar for attention. When you're desperate to be part of the crowd, you give everyone else the power to judge your worth. You become a background character in someone else's story, a yes man, hoping for a scrap of validation. You're worried that if you stay home, you're missing out. Missing out on what? Another night of shallow talk and expensive drinks? Another night of pretending to be someone you aren't, just to stay in the loop? The maneuver to break this cycle is cold and direct. Kill the need to be seen. Machiavelli didn't care about being popular. He cared about being effective. When you stop auditioning for a supporting role in a crowd that doesn't care if you live or die, you start reclaiming your virtu, your raw power. Stop showing up. Stop checking the group chat. Stop worrying about the inner circle. Most of those people are just spectators waiting for you to trip so they can feel better about their own miserable lives. Imagine the power shift when you stop being the one who reaches out. Suddenly, you aren't the one waiting for a text. You're the one who is too busy building something real to care if the phone rings. You aren't lonely. You're focused. The crowd is a distraction designed to keep you average. It's a sea of noise that drowns out your own potential. If you want to be a prince, you have to stop acting like a peasant, begging for a seat at the feast. The moment you realize that the crowd has nothing to offer you, the mirage vanishes, and you're left with the only person who can actually change your life. This isn't about being a hermit. It's about being a strategist. It's about realizing that a lion doesn't lose sleep over the opinions of sheep, and a lion certainly doesn't try to blend in with the flock. Your solitude isn't a prison. It's your private training ground. Use it to sharpen your mind, while everyone else is dulling theirs with small talk. Don't confuse a social circle with a safety net. People will tell you they have your back, but the moment the wind changes, they'll vanish like smoke. You've been fed this fairy tale that friends are the family you choose, but that's a lie designed to make you vulnerable. In reality, most friendships are just contracts of convenience. Machiavelli taught us the cold, hard truth. Men have less scruple in offending one who is beloved than one who is feared. If you rely on being liked or loved by your peers, you are putting your neck in a noose and handing them the rope. You are betting your future on the hope that they stay in a good mood. Think about the best friend you have at work or in your neighborhood. You grab drinks, you laugh, and you share secrets to bond. You think you're building a bridge, but you're actually handing them a map of your weaknesses. The second a promotion is on the line, or the second you become a social liability, they'll use that map to bury you. This is the fragile chain of human loyalty. It's held together by self-interest, not by some magical bond. When the chain breaks, and it always does when the stakes get high, you're the one who falls. The problem here is your own naivety. You think that because you're loyal, they will be too. You think that being a good person earns you credits in some cosmic bank of favors. It doesn't. People are ungrateful, fickle, false, cowardly, and greedy, as the old teacher said. They are with you while it's easy, but they turn against you when things get hard. If you're at a party and someone starts mocking you, watch how fast your friends join in just to avoid being the next target. They aren't evil. They're just terrified of being alone like you are, so they'll sacrifice you to stay in the group's good graces. The move to make here is to stop building your foundation on other people's shifting sand. You need to become your own fortress. Stop sharing your hand. Stop telling people your plans, your fears, or your wins. When you are alone, you are the only one who can't backstab you. Silence is the best armor you can wear. By withdrawing from the chain of social obligation, you remove the leverage people have over you. They can't hurt what they don't know, and they can't betray someone who doesn't rely on them. Imagine the freedom of not caring if the group likes you. Imagine the power of walking into a room and knowing that nobody there has any dirt on you, because you didn't give it to them. You don't need love from people who would replace you in a heartbeat if a better option came along. You need respect, and respect comes from being a person who can stand on their own 2 feet without leaning on anyone else. The chain is broken, and for the first time, you're actually free. You aren't a link in someone else's fence. You're the whole gate. Instead of looking for a shoulder to lean on, start building shoulders that can carry the world. Loneliness isn't the enemy. The illusion of support is. Once you stop expecting people to be loyal, you stop being disappointed when they aren't. That's the ultimate win. The person who needs no one is the only one who can't be manipulated. When you stop trying to socialize, you stop giving people a handle to grab you by. Most people use their social life like a marketplace where they trade favors, but those favors always come with high interest. They call it networking or hanging out, but it's really just a game of leverage. Machiavelli understood that to control a situation, you have to be the one who can walk away without losing anything. If you're hungry for the crowd's approval, they own you. If you're the invisible player, you own yourself. Think about that one friend who always invites you out. It feels nice to be included, right? But look closer. They always expect you to drive, or they forgot their wallet, or they need you to back them up in some drama they started. They aren't looking for a friend. They're looking for a resource, a tool to make their life easier. This is the social tax. Every time you say yes just to be part of the group, you're paying a tax on your time, your money, and your mental peace. The problem is that you've become a predictable piece on their chessboard. They know exactly where you'll be and what you'll do because you're terrified of being left out. The way to flip the script is to become a ghost. By withdrawing, you regain your most valuable asset, your mystery. When you stop showing up to every birthday, every happy hour, and every group hang, you stop being a resource and start being a question mark. People can't use someone they can't find. Machiavelli noted that a prince should always strive to be extraordinary. You can't be extraordinary if you're always available for ordinary nonsense. When you're invisible, you see everything while others see nothing. You're watching the social dynamics from the outside, seeing who is lying to whom and who is climbing over whose back. The tactic here is to build your life in the shadows. Instead of being a loud, visible target, you become the silent operator. While your friends are busy arguing over who said what on social media, you're at home getting ahead. You're leveling up your skills, saving your cash, and hardening your mind. You don't need a seat at a table where you're just another body to fill the room. The exit from this trap is realizing that your absence is more powerful than your presence could ever be. Imagine the shift in power when people realize they can't reach you. They can't guilt-trip you into favors. They can't use you as a backup plan. They can't gossip about you because they don't know anything about your life anymore. You've removed yourself from the game, which makes you the only one who can't lose. This isn't about being lonely. It's about being untouchable. You are no longer a pawn being moved around by the needs of the group. You are the invisible player, the one who watches the chaos from a distance, completely unaffected. When you stop chasing the crowd, you realize the crowd was just a distraction keeping you from your own greatness. You aren't missing out. You're opting out. And in a world of desperate attention seekers, the person who doesn't care is the one who holds all the cards. It's better to be a mystery than a mascot. When you are always available, you are cheap. You're like that app on your phone that sends too many notifications. Eventually, people just mute you. You've been taught that being nice is the key to a good life, but nice is just another word for harmless. And in the real world, being harmless is a death sentence. Machiavelli famously said it is much safer to be feared than loved. In a street-level sense, this doesn't mean you need to be a bully or a villain. It means being respected because you are self-sufficient and unpredictable, not because you're a nice guy who always says yes. Think about your social circle. There's always that one person who is so sweet. They show up to every party, they help everyone move, they listen to everyone's problems for hours. And how are they treated? They're the last one invited, the first one ignored, and the person everyone vents to, but nobody actually respects. They are loved, maybe, but they have zero power. Now think about the person who rarely shows up, who doesn't overshare, and who isn't afraid to say no without giving an excuse. When that person speaks, the room goes quiet. That's the currency of respect, and it's backed by a little bit of healthy fear. People fear losing your time because you've made it clear your time is valuable. They fear offending you because you don't need them for anything. The problem here is that you've been chasing likes and vibe checks instead of building authority. If you're constantly trying to grab coffee with people who ignore your texts or leave you on red, you've already lost the game. You're showing them that your life is empty, and they are the prize. This makes you look desperate, and desperation is a scent that people pick up on instantly. It makes them lose interest. It makes them feel like they can treat you however they want, because you'll always be there, wagging your tail, waiting for a scrap of attention. The maneuver to flip this is to go dark. When you stop chasing, people start wondering. Let them wonder. Machiavelli knew that the masses are always taken by appearances. By being absent, you create an appearance of importance. You become the person who has things going on, even if those things are just you sitting in a quiet room, reading or working on yourself. Your absence creates a vacuum of power. People start asking, where is he? What is he up to? Suddenly, you aren't the one begging for a seat. You're the one everyone is trying to figure out. The way out of being a social doormat is to realize that your value goes up the less you are seen. Every time you turn down an invitation to stay home and focus, you're investing in your own stock. You're telling the world that your company is a privilege, not a right. When you stop being a mascot for the group, you start being a force they have to reckon with. You don't need to be mean. You just need to be unavailable. Let them feel the chill of your absence. Let them realize that you don't need their laughter or their approval to feel like a man. Fear of your indifference is the most powerful tool you have. Once they realize they can't control you with an invite or a compliment, you've won. You're no longer a pawn. You're the player who left the board, and that makes you the most dangerous person in the room, while everyone else is wasting their virtu, their raw talent, their truth, and their soul, their life force, on chasing small talk and social climbing. You should be at home sharpening your blade. Success in the real world doesn't come from who you know at a dive bar. It comes from what you can do that nobody else can. Machiavelli didn't care about good years or being the life of the party. He cared about virtu, which is the ability of a man to shape his own destiny through skill and strength. Most people trade their greatness for a sense of belonging. They'd rather be liked and broke than respected and powerful. Think about the guy you know who spends every single weekend networking. He's at every mixer, every brunch, and every rooftop party with a drink in his hand and a smile that looks like it's glued on. He's always talking about big moves and collaborations. But if you look at his bank account or his actual output, he's got nothing. He's a beggar in a designer suit, chasing the ghost of an opportunity that will never come because he has no substance. He's all vibes and no virtu. He thinks that if he shakes enough hands, someone will eventually hand him a life. He's wrong. Fortune doesn't favor the social butterfly. It favors the hunter. The problem you're facing is a massive leak in your energy. Every hour you spend trying to be part of the scene is an hour you aren't building your empire. You feel like you're falling behind because you aren't out there making connections. But those connections are hollow if you have nothing to offer. If you find yourself stuck in a dead-end social loop where you're talking about the same sports, the same drama, and the same dreams with the same stagnant people, you are drowning. You're letting the vibe of the group dictate your ceiling. The exit strategy from this mediocrity is total, ruthless immersion in your craft. You have to trade the bar for the workshop and the group chat for the grind. Use your loneliness as a high-octane fuel. When you are alone, you have no one to impress, no one to distract you, and no one to pull you down to their level. This is where you develop the skills that make you dangerous. Machiavelli taught that a prince must always be thinking of war, even in times of peace. While the crowd is sleeping off a hangover, you should be studying, building, and practicing. The maneuver here is to become so competent that the world eventually has to come to you on your terms. Instead of chasing people, you become the person people need. When you have virtù, you don't need to be nice to get what you want. You just need to be the best. Imagine the power of walking into a room 6 months from now, having disappeared from the social scene, only to return with a new body, a new business, or a skill that makes everyone else look like an amateur. You didn't miss out on anything. They missed out on you. You swapped the cheap high of a good vibe for the permanent power of being a master of your own world. Loneliness is the price of admission for greatness. Pay it gladly. Most people let luck, moods, and other people's opinions decide if they're having a good day. They wait for the phone to buzz to feel important. Machiavelli put it bluntly. Fortune is like a violent river that sweeps everything away when it gets angry. But he also said that when the weather is calm, a smart man builds dikes and dams to keep the water in its place. If you are constantly chasing a social life, you are standing in the middle of that river with no protection. You are letting the chaos of other people's whims decide whether you sink or swim. Look at the person who thinks their crew is their life. They do everything together. They think they're safe because they have a squad. But then, one person gets a better job and moves away. Another person starts a rumor because they're jealous. A third person just gets bored and stops replying. Suddenly, the squad is gone, and the person left behind is a wreck. They don't know how to eat alone, think alone, or stand alone. They've spent years building a house on someone else's land, and now they're being evicted. This is the social crash. The problem is that they trusted the crowd more than they trusted themselves. They let the chaos of fortune dictate their happiness. The move to make is to stop being a passenger in your own life. When you choose to be alone, you are building your own dam. You are telling the world that your peace of mind is not up for debate. You aren't lonely. You are simply unoccupied by the garbage of the streets. Machiavelli knew that the person who changes with the times stays on top. Right now, the world is obsessed with clout and following, which are just fancy words for being a slave to fortune. The smartest play is to do the opposite. Withdraw. Build your own wealth, your own body, and your own mind in private. The escape route from this mess is to become a one-man state. A state doesn't wait for permission to exist. It just exists. You need to get to a point where your confidence comes from your own results, not from how many people liked your photo or invited you out on a Saturday. If you're at home working on a side hustle or learning a new skill, you are controlling the river. You are making sure that even if every friend you have disappears tomorrow, your kingdom still stands. You aren't reacting to the chaos, you're managing it. Imagine the absolute power of not needing anyone to feel like a winner. When you stop chasing the crowd, you stop being a victim of their drama. You become the mountain. The wind blows, the rain falls, and people come and go, but the mountain doesn't move. By choosing solitude over social noise, you have mastered the most dangerous force in the world, the need to be liked. Once you kill that need, you aren't just surviving the chaos, You are the one who decides when and where the game is played. You've taken your life back from the hands of strangers and put it where it belongs, in your own grip. Fortune can't hurt a man who doesn't need her favors. If you're ready to stop being a spectator and start becoming the architect of your own power, hit that subscribe button. Most people will keep scrolling, looking for another distraction. But you're still here because you know the crowd is a trap. Don't let this be just another video you forget. Make the choice to go dark and level up. Leave a comment with the word fortress if you're choosing yourself over the crowd today. It's time to stop chasing and start building. See you in the next one.